Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Sergio Merchan. So I'm the global CIO for Iberdrola, and I will explain to you who are we, no, and why we are leveraging the AWS technology.
My name is Unai. I'm Global AI Expert Engineer. I will show you how we are architecting agents at Iberdrola today.
Great, and I'm Joseph Santamaria. I'm responsible for the technical teams within AWS that work with energy customers in our energy vertical. Today we'll talk a little bit about, we'll start with an overview, a refresher on the AWS solutions for agentic and AI in general, with an emphasis in agentic. And from there, we'll talk, Sergio will talk a little bit about why is generative AI important in energy, what's Iberdrola doing, their strategy. And then Unai will dive into actually what they're doing, the use cases, what they've learned, what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it. And one of the things that I've asked them, and this is a learning conference, is make sure that we share with the audience what you guys learned, what worked, what didn't work, and they'll do that. So I think we'll have a great session. So let's talk about what's agentic AI. We've been in our AI journey for decades, and we're now at the stage of the era of agentic AI, which is really the ability to create autonomous systems that are based on agents that allow you to automate and perform workflows in a way very similar to the way humans would do it, right? You can plan, the agents will plan activities, the agents will have some logic, they'll be able to adapt a little bit to changing conditions, they'll be able to reason, and that is going to have the ability to really automate very complex systems and workflows that up to now have not really been able or accessible with more traditional AI. And this is going to impact frankly, every process, every customer interaction in your companies, every product, every service you offer is going to be impacted by agentic. And this revolution transformation, because it's really what it is, it will first happen progressively, but it will also happen quickly. And progressively will happen because we have to earn trust that the agents are controlled, they are governed. Iberdrola will talk a little bit about how they're doing that. And we're seeing now companies start to take agents to automate simple tasks, a little bit narrow focus, very specific interactions with humans, quite a bit of human oversight going on. But now as companies' ambitions grow, and again, Iberdrola is a great example of that, they're moving towards your right of the chart here, where they start to take workflows, specific business problems that can be solved with agents or accelerated with agents, or the cost can be lower with agents, and they're starting to automate that. And eventually, where we're going to get to is where you have systems and swarms of agents that either deterministically or through other agentic coordination, they get orchestrated to really solve very complex problems and end-to-end solutions. The reason I also mentioned this will happen quickly, and the reason that will happen quickly is because the price is enormous. I mean, we're seeing companies that are adopting agentic workflows. Things that used to take years now take months, maybe at times weeks. Things that used to cost millions now cost thousands. We talk about within AWS, Matt mentioned yesterday that we're seeing a 10x productivity gain. So the price to get this done is enormous. And that's why this is going to happen quickly, because companies are going to be trying to drive and realize that value. There's no surprise that Gartner talks about anticipates that 33% of all applications will include agentic AI in the next 2 to 3 years by 2028, and that 15% of all the decisions that are made in a company will be automated through agents also with the same time frame by 2028. Our aspiration, our goal here at AWS is to make that possible and to help all of you build the most useful, well-managed, controlled, secure, governed, and cost-effective agents in the cloud. And to do that, we'll obviously have an AWS AI stack that is composed of 3 tiers. The top tier, we have our applications, and they have a broad range. We have applications that will help you, like Kiro, which is a code assistant. Code developer will help you accelerate your SDLC. We have Transform that help you modernize, whether it's .NET to Java or modernize within Java. There's a bunch of transformations that will help you keep your tech stack modern and up to date. And then we also have business solutions like Connect, which is a call center solution that helps you manage customer interactions in different channels, from voice to to chat, so on and so forth, and embed a number of agentic capabilities already. For those of you who want to build some agents, but you want to do that in a managed service, then we offer Bedrock, and our core product within Bedrock for agentic building is Agent Core, which we have, we released about a couple months back, and it's generally available, and it has really great capabilities to manage memory of those agents, to have observability of what the agents are doing, to manage how the agents are interacting with other tools through a gateway. It has a runtime that is framework independent, so you don't have to worry about what agentic framework you're using for development. It has a bunch of first-party tools. So we're bringing, you'll hear today how Iberdrola is using Agent Core and how it's using each one of these components to bring these agentic solutions to bearing fruit. And then at the bottom, we also have infrastructure. What we're seeing is that more and more customers are willing and eager to unlock. They sit on decades of data. It could be great data, it could be asset data, it could be subsurface data. They're sitting on decades of data, and generic LLMs, while they're very useful, they don't have that. They don't have the benefit of that information. So they're starting to fine-tune. They're starting to be more ambitious in terms of how they embed beyond RAG or a knowledge base, how they embed that data into their workflows. And for that, we're seeing more and more customers that are starting to train. And we give you the infrastructure to do that with, we announced yesterday Forge, Forge that gives you the ability to embed your own data, different pre-training, post-training, and training at different steps when you build a Nova foundational model. So we give you the ability to, I'm ready to train a small language model, a specialty language model on AWS in a cost-effective and in a very effective and efficient way through the different epochs. So with that, let's just dive into a little bit Gen AI in the energy sector and what's going on at Iberdrola. So I'm going to invite Sergio to come up.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph. Hi, everyone. Now we are going to explain how we are enabling, also how we can enable all this technology, all these capabilities to support our transformation. Because I think, Joseph, you mentioned about, the challenges that we're having in the energy sector. So that basically, as you can imagine, is all the growth in terms of energy, is all this electrification. So it's putting a lot of, let's say, challenges to the energy companies, including Iberdrola. No? So Iberdrola, who are we? Okay, so this is more on your slides, I think. No? So the challenges, but okay. The challenge that we're just mentioning, so it's electrification, so it's growth in terms of the energy consumption, so it's putting a lot of pressure in the energy sector, including Iberdrola. We need to create a more sustainable energy, let's say a more cleaner energy, and that's why in order to tackle that challenges, we need technology in order just to transform the way we are operating today. So we need to be very excellent in every single piece of our value chain, so excellent in our operations, excellent in the way we create energy, excellent in the way we manage our customers, excellent in the way we manage our corporate activities. So and that's why we need technology, in this case enabled by AWS. No? But let me just explain a little bit who are we, no? So Iberdrola is the largest energy company in Europe, and is the second largest company in the worldwide. So with by capitalization, so 120,000 million euros of capitalization. We serve more than 100 million customers. We have an asset base of 160,000 millions. And we invest 150 billion in the last 2 decades. So we are a very, very big company. We cover the full chain, from generation, transmission, distribution, and retail. And of course, we have presence in many parts of the globe. So we have presence in Spain, we have presence in UK, we have presence in US, we have presence in Brazil, and we have also presence in other countries in Europe and outside Europe, like for example Japan, Australia. So we have a strong presence. So you can imagine the challenge that we have in order just to respond to this kind of electrification, energy demand, and so on. In order to create this cleaner and sustainable energy worldwide. So we have a strong challenge to respond to. So how are we doing that? And this is very interesting. So our ambition is very clear. Our ambition is to put AI at the center. And enabling AI capabilities to transform the way we are operating today, to transform the way we are working today across the life cycle, as I mentioned. And not only just this kind of approach very incremental. So in terms of we try to identify specific use cases and specific processes that allow us just to capture some incremental value, but we are moving on that full transformation approach. Okay, so we really get one process and we just reimagine the process. We transform the process. We rethink the process. Okay, so we reimagine completely the process using AI as the centric enabler for transforming that process. No? And for that, we will see that, okay, we are just basing on a specific model that is bringing value, or is the way of the vehicle that we are put in place to capture the massive value of the technology. You know? But that's the approach, okay? So it's not just incremental, it's just real transformation, no? Full transformation of the processes across the value chain. No? So we are seeing the capabilities of AI across the value chain. So the way we generate, for example, we are using AI to help us, and just to define where to be positioning our, let's say, wind turbines, and just to optimize the creation of energy, or the generation of energy, also through the operation. So we are also putting in place agents or assistants in this case, in order to help our field workforce, okay, just to operate, do inspections, maintain the turbines as well, so help them, okay, just to do a quicker, let's say, resolution, okay, improving then the downtime and improving the way we create and generate energy. And in fact, here we have one of the main brains of these use cases, but also we have use cases on retail, on the call center areas, you can imagine, no? Helping with this kind of assistance to our call agents, just to be capable, just to provide an answer quicker and with higher quality, and the same agents across the corporate areas or functions, okay? Don't forget about corporate areas like, okay, legal, internal audit, administration, control, financing. We have capabilities just to deploy agents across the organization, no? And this is the way we see we need to transform, just to be better prepared to respond to the future, all the energy future, no? Okay, what are the models that we put in place? Okay, and as you can imagine, one of the main key success factors is going to be the platforms, it's going to be the technology, and I will explain that now in detail. No? So we are moving from traditional assistants, okay, AI assistants, to the agentic AI now. That is going to be the next wave, okay, and we are building our best-in-class platform and agentic framework leveraging AWS services. But we also have another key success factor, that is just our competence center. So we have been building competence centers across the group in a hub-and-spoke model. And one of the things that we are doing is just to standardize our method to deliver solutions, to deliver products to our business areas. Okay, you saw about our, let's say, country-based, let's say, that we have. We have few many, we serve in few many countries. We have few many businesses that we need to respond to. So the first thing that we put in place is let's try to standardize. Let's try just to build something that is standard, common for everyone as much as we can. Okay, and just as well to accelerate and create this kind of speed and time to market. No? But again, so we build a center of competence, including in this competence center, all the capabilities that we need to deploy the solution. So not just moving into one area to another area, so I need the architects, I need the engineers, I need the project manager, I need the operations guys, the security guys. We just put everything together into this center. So we just create this one-stop shop, so this kind of factory concept. So we just deliver solution end-to-end, from the engineering, for the discovery, the engineering, the architecture, the operations, security, everything. The second point is platforms, okay? And this important point is, and also one of the key success factors is AWS. AWS is not just providing capability in terms of the AI, let's say, resources of services. We just create a platform with all the different building blocks to embed it, this kind of framework on top of that. So when we deliver an AI solution, this AI solution is secure, is observable, so we can monitor that solution. We can ensure that we are delivering something that is secure, is protected in terms of data, and is responsible. So we create all the framework that we need to deliver something to our business areas, okay, that is creating security, is putting, let's say, observability, is putting monitoring, is putting auditing, is putting logging, is putting everything in. No? So that's platforms, again, another success factor. No? And the last one, as I was just mentioning, competence centers. Okay, so we have a hub-and-spoke model when we just deliver the same concept across the organization, no matter where we are. We just operate in the same way. Okay, we just leverage the same method. We leverage the same teams, the same capabilities, the same layers of services, the same platforms across the group. No, I think that's another area of value. No, because at the end, with this concept, we can create, let's say, solutions that are quite standard, are flexible, are modular, are secure, and in a very, let's say, time to market way. No? And also, okay, being this kind of partners that we want to be with the business, just to become this technology partner. No, not just look IT as the standard, let's say, business as usual activity, but to be this kind of technology leaders. No? And now, okay, now, Unai, you can come here and explain the way we are delivering agentic capabilities, no, in the company.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sergio. So today I will walk you through the global deployment of agents with Amazon Bedrock AI Core at Iberdrola, and we will see some use cases later. This diagram represents the way we are scaling AI, agentic initiatives, across the entire Iberdrola group. If you turn your attention to the left side of the screen, you will see our global footprint. We are deploying Amazon Bedrock AI Core in our 4 core major markets: UK, Scottish Power, US Avangrid, Brazil Neoenergia, and Spain. And of course, with this regionally deployed platform, we ensure data sovereignty, and we also ensure that the agents stay where they belong, complying with local regulations and standards, and reduce some networking costs, of course. But the interesting part maybe is on the right. This is how we are structuring the platform. We have a multi-count strategy in which we have 3 environments: production, pre-production, and development. And for each of those environments, we have a strict verticalization by business. We have an account for retail, for networks, for corporation, for renewables, and for IT. And with these regions, companies, and environments, we ensure 3 things mainly. First of all, we guarantee scalability in each region. This means that where there is a surge in smart meter data in Neoenergia, for example, or a new commercial campaign in Spain, we scale independently. This means that we have our agents isolated, scaling independently with the powerful approach of serverless approach of Amazon Bedrock AI Core. We will see that later, how we do it. Second, we ensure business isolation by design. This means that we are securing its business line and ensuring that and limiting the visibility and sharing of agents on place. And third, for me, probably the most important thing is that we are ensuring also reusability and discovery within the same business. This means that, for example, if the networks teams in Spain builds a great agent, by design, we are allowing them to share it, to reuse it, because of the platform deployment strategy. So the good news here is that we are not just building the platform, we are also the first adopters of it in IT. So let's jump to the first 3 use cases of AI Core at Iberdrola. We chose IT operations as our first battleground. We have 3 use cases, simple use cases that are delivering value now in our operations. The first one is the agent support change requests. We are working in ServiceNow and improving the way users work with changes. In an utility company like ours, making changes to systems is high stakes. You need to accomplish with a lot of compliance and standardization. And this often brings a cycle of rejection, delays, because of the petitioner not fulfilling correctly the drafts. We now have a group of orchestrated agents that act as gatekeepers and help the user fulfilling those drafts. We will see details later, but that's the main idea, reducing delays and resource waste. The second use case is about enrichment of networking incidents. It's the same rationale. We want to reduce manual effort and improve time to market by boosting tagging, assignment, and resolution speed, having a swarm of agents that are specialized in specific things of the request. And third, probably the most simple one, is related to the first one. It's a chatbot-like agent that is connected to a corporate knowledge database that allows the user to pick the right template for the change in ServiceNow. We have more than 200 change templates, so it's not difficult. It's not easy to pick the right one. Now we have this RAG architecture to help the users doing so. We'll see later the details, but that's the main idea. This is architecture. So you came here to see technology, so there you have. First of all, I would like to thank Accenture and our partners, necessary partners and areas in Iberdrola for achieving this milestone in record time. We all know that we are not only delivering value in these business processes, but we also somehow building the foundations for the future, preparing the platform for what is coming next. So we will review the architecture at high level now. and then we will do a zoom in on the use cases and see how the agents are working under the hood. First of all, I would like to highlight that we have one agent core runtime for each of the use cases. This means that we have decoupled the costs, the development life cycle, and the escalation by splitting the use cases in runtimes. Each of the runtimes, of course, have a Docker image in the ECR, so we can deploy with continuous integration pipelines and continuous deployment pipelines to it. These runtimes are running LangGraph agents that are consuming models in Bedrock through little LLM. This little LLM is a layer of code that allows us to balance requests between models in case of unavailabilities or quota cannibalization. And we have, of course, some guardrails in place to ensure that the models generate what they have to generate and nothing else. The second thing I would like to highlight is that we are deploying the MCP servers also in agent core runtime. This means that the use cases that are using the database, the RDS PostgreSQL database, are consuming it through this MCP server. So we have that in place. And we are just using also agent core gateway for reaching ServiceNow and writing the results of the agents where they are needed. I didn't explain that, but our front end in this case is ServiceNow. So it's ServiceNow who is calling AWS Cloud to perform the agentic workloads. We have also, if you see, a micro gateway there to ensure authentication and routing the requests to the particular runtime. So this is the high levels perspective of the architecture. Now we will review the first use case, how is the functional details and the technical details. So we call it assist for change. I was telling before that making changes to system is difficult, and this is why we have a strict process to make changes to systems in Iberdrola, as most companies do. In our case, each change request passes through 6 phases, from draft, where the requester has to fill out a change model to ensure that the information is in place, to closed, when the change is done and the teams start working on it. We are deploying agents at the draft phase. This means that we are speeding up the change management process by assisting requesters. These templates that has to be filled has several fields and several rules. So we have expert agents on each of the fields and each of the parts of the templates. So we can first validate and also propose fix proposals. So we can speed up the process. Let's see how it looks. Okay. So the requester does this change request draft and pushes the button of the start change when the information is filled, and then a workflow of agents is triggered. We are building small agents. Okay, so we have a first agent that is determining which fields and contents must be checked using LLMs and tools available. Once these rules that we know that has to be checked, the content validator takes this input and basically validates fields and content based on the rule structure output. Simple there. And in parallel, there is a third specialized agent called AIM model agent analyst that validates the change model selection based on the justification. This is the pain point that the third use case is solving, of checking if the change model that is being selected is appropriate to the change that the user wants to do. And if all is in place, there is a fourth agent in LangGraph that is going to propose fixes in the case there is something missing, or automatically transition the phase. So we are somehow putting an intelligent layer in this ServiceNow frontend, powered by agent core. So I will show you 3 diagrams like this. In the top part of the slide, we have the technical flow, how ServiceNow is calling the micro gateway, how the micro gateway is routing that request to the runtime, and the runtime has these LangGraph agents being run using Claude and using the RDS MCP server. So that's pretty much of it. If you turn your attention to the LangGraph agents, you see that we have a graph structure in which we are running the agent sequentially, nothing special there. First, the rule structure is triggered. The content validator takes that output, validates the contents, and at the same time, we are as I was saying before, validating the aim of the model. If that is in place, the phase transition is done. In the bottom, we have the ETLs. Okay, we are putting ServiceNow templates and change models into S3 bucket, and this S3 bucket is being used by a pod in Kubernetes to build the gold layer of the data that the agents are consuming through the MCP server. A good thing to know here is that we are using PostgreSQL PG Vector for the vectorization of the data. And we also have some data models on place to ensure that we are versioning prompts, to ensure that we are versioning embeddings, and to ensure that we have all this life cycle of the data on place. The second use case is the same structure, the same strategy, but simpler. To help the user selecting the right chain model, we are putting a simple agent in the runtime. So ServiceNow again calls the micro gateway, in this case with a different data. So the micro gateway can route the request to the appropriate runtime, and this runtime is going to help the user in a chat-based interaction to pick the right chain model. We also have the same thing. We have the ETLs that are going in a regular way being loaded to the database. The third use case is probably the most interesting one because it's the most complex one. We have the same strategy again. We ServiceNow calling the micro gateway calling the runtime. But in this case, the runtime has a swarm of agents that somehow we have an orchestrator that is able to know which agents has to be triggered when depending on the information available in the incident. So if the networking incident has to be tagged, the orchestrator will know it, and it will trigger the tag classifier. If we want to perform incident similarity, we will have the incident similarity agent on place, and so on and so on. So this is probably the most complex land graph architecture that we are deploying in these three use cases. We, of course, have, again, these ETLs from the S3 to the RDS to the golden layer and the PostgreSQL PG Vector to be able to consume the data. I didn't say that, but we are using Claude models for the use cases. We are going with the 4.5 Sonnet, but we are flexible depending on the needs. So yeah, that's important. But why have we chose Agent Core runtime and not other compute resource? First of all, it's really, for us, it was really important the fact that Agent Core is framework agnostic, so we didn't have to upskill the teams to learn a new framework or to learn to code in other framework. So you just can put a land graph code, expose it, seamlessly deploy it with MCP protocol. So you just need to ensure that you have this fast MCP, this decorator of MCP tool and the MCP run. You can also deploy the agent with HTTPS. We decided to do it with MCP, so if we want to reuse it in another use case, we have that in place. But you can do it, of course, with HTTPS. Also, runtime is really cost-effective compute resource. You are only being charged by actual CPU consumption, and we all know that agents pass more or less between 30 and 70% of the time calling LLMs and calling other tools. So this time they are waiting, we are not being charged. This is really, really, really good to economies of scale. Thirdly, of course, Agent Core gives us the session isolation, so we can pause the session, make the agent stateful, and empower these human-in-the-loop loops and wait for agents and other agents or tools. In our case, we are not using that so much because the use cases are simple, but it's good to know that we have that available. Also, it's a low latency architecture. This means that there is no cold start. Maybe you come on Monday, the agent has been sleeping all the weekend, and you will have no cold start. You will have that ready in about 200 milliseconds. And also it auto-scales. If one of the agents or architectures are going to be are receiving more demand than expected, you don't have to worry about scaling that yourself or managing the infrastructure. It auto-scales like magic. Also, it's really interesting for us that if we are running the agents in those runtimes, we have available so many managed services for this kind of projects. The memory, for example, to make the agents have short memory so they can remember what is going on in the session, but also long-term memory so they can learn and then can improve over time. Also, we have the gateway for the tools. We can put our tools into the gateway to enable discovery and to enable also roles for the access. So it's really interesting, and we believe that it's difficult to find a similar thing to this, as easy as this, in some alternatives. So assuming in the code, you just need, as I was saying, to deploy the agents, you just need to ensure that you expose them with MCP or with HTTPS, and that's all. You can focus on the programming of the agents and forget about the infrastructure. Just to give you a code snippet of what is going on inside, this is for the swarm of agents that I was talking before, this orchestrator that enriches the incidents. So we are using LangGraph, and LangGraph is all about graphs. We have a planner node that is going to decide which agents has to be run. And we have a node of run next that, depending on that output, will run the agents in sequence. We could parallelize that too, but we didn't do that. And once the agents has been run, we have another node to assemble the result. So as easy as that. The difficult thing here is that you have to program what is inside the nodes, of course, and I don't have code snippets for that, but you could imagine that they are all calls to the LLMs and some business logic. Yeah, so that's pretty much of it. You can program in strands, LangGraph, Google ADK, whatever you want, put that on the runtime, and it works. What's next? This is for me the most important part of the presentation, because these use cases, okay, we are delivering value to these business processes. We are preparing the platform so businesses can work with Agent Core. But which is our maturity tier? Which is also our role as IT to transform? We foresee some challenges of non-reusing the agents or not thinking big when building an agent. So if we build a great agent and we cannot reuse it, we have to program it again, develop it again, to put that on another use case in another area. We, of course, face increased costs due to the need to develop existing capabilities, but also we duplicate business logic, which can lead to unpredictability, unexpected behaviors, and we also have this risk of duplication of sources of truth. This happens also in microservices. This also happens in traditional software, but with agents it's special because we have these capabilities of generalization that maybe traditional software don't. So we have an opportunity to fix these three things. We believe that Amazon Bedrock Agent Core will be part of the solution or the solution to these problems, but it's also a cultural transformation of how we think about agents and transform the business processes. For me, as a technical guy, what's three things I want to do to reuse an agent? First of all, we have the first scenario, right, in which we have a good agent that is successful. We want to reuse it across the organization, maybe in other business processes or maybe by other people. And the first scenario is when the original owner retains the ownership and has to authorize new users or new areas to use it or to integrate it in other business processes. This part is easy, right? You just need to put some networking there, maybe some roles, and you are ready to go. But there are two other use cases that for me are probably common to, or will be common to. When you will have an agent, we normally want to introduce tweaks to it, because we know it works. It has access to some tools. It has access to some data, and it works fine. But for my personal business case, I need something else, some extra detail. So for that, we need to work with versions, right? The second use case or the second scenario is easy, is in when we have the owner keeping the ownership of the agent, and we ask the owner to tweak or to improve that agent, so it works for me too. So that's about versioning, that's about governing agents in a registry, but has this problem of making the owner making the owner do something for you, right? And that's not easy sometimes. So we need also the possibility to fork these agents, to be able to share the code, to share the tools, to share the infrastructure behind, so we can ourselves, with our budget, with our development team, to adapt it to the specific use case using the original agent as the base. So these are the three things that we want to achieve. We have plenty of time now for questions, for details, if you want to ask something. Yeah, I think that's pretty much of it.